I read my affair texts aloud, thinking they were poems for him. He left mid-anniversary dinner. Hello, Reddits. My name is Jade, and I'm 35 years old. I've been married for 10 years now, and I have 3 kids with my husband, William. Our marriage had been the best thing that ever happened to me. True, steady, and predictable. We were a couple with future plans. We always had a goal as a family, and we never stopped until we achieved them. Well, I gave up easily, but William had never given up. He's the kind of man you'd always be grateful for to have in your corner, but right now, that is not the case for me. William doesn't want anything to do with me, and by extension our kids anymore. It was a crazy mistake. I didn't know that I had clicked on the wrong thing. I was absent-minded, and I ended up ruining my entire life with that short speech I made. I read my texts aloud, thinking they were poems, the poems I had written to read to him on our anniversary dinner. But I had mistakenly switched up the text when I was distracted, and I read the text that Sam had sent me. William had gotten so angry when he realized exactly what I had done, and he just left halfway through our anniversary dinner. I felt so mortified, and I tried to stop him, but what happened next had been even more horrifying than the texts I read aloud. Sam. You see, Sam is actually my lover, the guy I was having an affair with until that very evening. We had been together for 4 months before that dinner, and honestly I thought it was all right to have someone by the side, especially after all I had gone through with our marriage. You see, William is the sole breadwinner of our family, and he had an hectic job. He was always so busy traveling, even though he could easily delegate his job to his capable assistant most of the time, so he could spend time with us, with me. But William never really trusted anyone when it came to business. And although that had helped build up his formidable appearance and approach to business, and within 2 years after we got married, William had one of the fastest growing businesses. I loved that about him, but it meant he spent more time away than with us. The kids were okay with it. They loved when he was around because of the many activities they went on together, but that meant less time for me. He was either too tired from spending too much time with the kids or from work and just collapsed on the bed and slept off. Or even when we did have sex, it was totally boring. Well, from the start, I didn't even know that sex could be exciting. William was the first guy I slept with, and we married almost immediately after only a month of dating. Our plans had been that we would have no kids, so we could get enough time to get to know each other better and spend time. We did so for 4 months, and then I got pregnant. William wasn't displeased as I thought he would be. I thought everything was normal between us, and within 4 years of being married, we had all our kids already. I thought what we had was normal. The monotony of our marriage and how boring it was, especially when I'm left alone at home when the kids were at school and William had either traveled or was at work, made me rethink everything. Perhaps it was seeing my best friend Maggie and her boyfriend, seeing the way they acted around each other like they couldn't get enough of each other, the way they made me feel like I was single despite being married for more than 8 years at the time. The way she smiled and excused herself every time he walked into her house, only coming out 30 minutes or even an hour later with her hair displaced. A permanent smile on her lips, and no doubt in one's mind exactly what it was that had happened between them within that short period. I envied them so much, and it made me start to doubt my marriage. I couldn't tell William exactly what was wrong. I just assumed he knew what was wrong with our marriage and just ignored it. I believe he chose his work over our love life, and now as I write this, I realize just how close-hearted I had been to the readiness of William to make changes in our marriage. The numerous times he had tried to make things work between us, the dinner dates, the family trips, the text messages he sent me nearly all the time, the numerous gifts, and even the conversations he tried to hold with me, and I just ignored thinking he was just talking to me because he wanted information on the kids. I must have been the first one to fall off the rail and blame William for everything, even though all he ever tried doing was being a father and a husband. But in my head, he was a workaholic who never had my time. So it made it easy to blame him for my affair. It made it easy to just sleep with Sam, especially when he gave me the attention I thought I deserved from William. I met Sam when I went out with my friends. He was standing there looking at some jewelries, clueless as to what to buy. When he saw me staring at him, he moved towards me and asked me for help. He apparently wanted to choose a gift for his mom for her birthday, and I was touched by his act. When I was done helping him choose the perfect gift, he asked for my number, and I gave him. I didn't think anything of it. We had a good conversation, and he was really easy to talk to, so I didn't think much of it when he requested my number. Sam texted me that night, and I remember staying up all night until it was time to wake the kids for school the next day. We talked about everything and anything, and it was really exciting. I felt like a girl again talking to her crush. Sam never stopped speaking since that day. I found out he had a mother and a sister, and he worked as a gardener most of the time. I got to know his hobbies, his likes and dislikes. He even told me about his previous relationship in just one conversation. He apparently cared too much, and his ex-girlfriend wanted her space and had ended things between them. I felt closer to him because of that. What I believed I suffered was something he apparently had in abundance. And there was the fact that throughout the whole 4 months of being with Sam, he showered me with more than enough attention, and I thought that it was more than what William had given me for the whole 10 years of being with him. I tried, believe me, I tried for things not to get more serious between Sam and I, but at the end of the day, trying was not enough. Maybe I should have stayed away and not gone out with him on those occasional friendly dates, as he would call it. Maybe I should have ignored his texts and not sit excitedly on the sofa in the living room beside the dim lamp and respond to each one almost immediately. Maybe I shouldn't have looked forward to his calls, his words of encouragement. Maybe I shouldn't have told him about what was going on in my marriage. It's only now I see it for what it was. Sam knew I lacked attention from my marriage and craved it desperately, and he had given exactly that for the whole of 4 months that we were together. He understood that I wanted someone to talk to, someone to make me feel wanted and sexy, someone that made me feel alive anytime I was with them, and he had done everything just to please me. I realize only now how he had exhorted me. He never really gave me anything that I didn't already have. He had instead collected from me. Every time we slept together, I made sure to give him the money he requested. I felt like it was my only way of appreciating him for everything he did. So all the time, when he would call me randomly or text me and demand for some more money, I'd give it to him. There was one time I lied to William about Lily, a longtime friend of mine who left the town and had moved to a new place with her family. I told him she was in some huge debts and needed saving, and William had not hesitated because of how desperate I sounded. But it had all been a lie. It was for Sam, who apparently needed money to fund a business he wanted to start. And he had promised to pay me back once the business was set. I never got the money back, and the business was never set up, but I didn't mind. I was stupid enough to believe that even though he made mistakes, several times he was human, and he did far more than my husband ever did. And there was the fact that William never suspected my affair until that day. Maybe because I played my role a little too perfectly. I cooked dinner when he was around, pretended to pay attention while he spoke about whatever project he was working on at the moment, even offered him a massage when he was too tired, and any time he wanted us to make love, I pretended to be a happy, satisfied wife. I took care of our kids, and even though I only did so whenever William was around, more often than was necessary, they spent more time at their grandparents' place, and I only picked them up when I knew that William would be home. Most of my days were spent trying to please my lover. I went on trips that I paid for with him. I booked the most expensive and discreet hotels for us whenever we had to spend the night out, and I did everything just to make our time together enjoyable. When Sam complained about my time with my friends, I cut them off, not completely, but I started to avoid them. The regular meetings and girls' time we usually had was reduced. I would make excuses and lie about William not allowing me out of the house, and I did that until they started to believe something else about William. But I didn't mind. I felt he deserved it because he treated me badly first. In my head, he was the one who made me cheat with his lack of love and attention. William's sister, Evelyn, suspected me first. She used to come over whenever she was in town to visit her brother, and since her trips were usually unpredictable, I never expected her to show up that day. But she had, and Sam was in the house with me. Yes, to your questions, our meetings didn't only happen outside. It extended to even inside the house William had built us. So when Evelyn had showed up that day unexpectedly, it was Sam who answered the door, thinking it was the delivery man delivering the sushi we ordered some minutes ago. But when I realized who it was from her voice, she was questioning Sam and asking him who he was and why he was half naked inside her brother's house. I quickly got up, put on my clothes, and pretended to have just woken up because of the noise from the door. I lied to her that Sam was my distant cousin visiting and he was only spending the night. She didn't believe me totally if the look she kept giving me was anything to go by, but I managed to block her off by telling her that William was already aware of it, and knowing her curious self would try to ask her brother. I mentioned to William about the cousin that he did know and had always known existed, but never seen, because he lived halfway across the world, and had not come home since that apparently came visiting for a day, and had gone back before he could come home. Evelyn did truly ask her brother, and when he gave her that answer, she stopped trying to find out about Sam and I. I was smart, and I thought I could really get away with everything I was doing. Handling 2 relationships at the same time, I thought of myself as a superhero for being able to do that, and I guess I got really confident. I would even answer Sam's call right in front of William, pretending it was one of the girls I was speaking to. I didn't even mind that William was starting to delegate more to his assistant and capable workers. I didn't mind that he was starting to stay at home more and more just after meeting Sam, and I didn't mind that he was always trying to make us spend more time together by trying to organize activities to do as a family. Instead, it annoyed me. It had me spending less and less time with the person that was making me happy. I had to look for other means of sneaking out to spend time with Sam, and the ever-impatient Sam wasn't making it easy for me. Blowing up my phone with calls and texts whenever I delayed him for more than 10 minutes after we agreed to meet at a particular location felt intense. At the time, I thought it was cute, and it meant he couldn't wait to see me, but now that I see it for what it really was, I realize just how crazy I was. I felt happy being loved as much as Sam. I didn't know I was only too desperate and too greedy for a different definition of love, and I got blinded by what I thought he was giving me. And when the affair went on without any suspicion from anyone else apart from Evelyn, who I had already managed to push aside her doubt, I grew too confident. But then life would be unfair if it didn't play the dirty tricks it always had up its sleeves, especially when there's someone like me in the picture. Because soon, it was our wedding anniversary, the 10th year of our marriage that William and I had made a vow to celebrate. We had made a pact before we got married that we would celebrate our wedding anniversary every 10 years together, because we would have years to look back and celebrate our growth. So when William had casually reminded me of our pact and of the date of our anniversary, which I had forgotten, I was too occupied with thinking about the trip I was planning to go on with Sam the next day, and what lie I was going to tell William so he could let me go without any sort of suspicion. I was shocked that he remembered and was even planning to honor our pacts. William asked me what I wanted us to celebrate with. He wanted to know if it was just dinner with both of us or with the kids, or if I wanted to invite many people for it. I knew I couldn't have a dinner date with him or the kids with us. I found out that I felt guilty sitting around with him in the house. He made me uncomfortable with his presence, perhaps because deep within me, I knew the uncomfortable truth that I was cheating for all the wrong reasons. But I still wanted to hold on to my beliefs of it being his fault. So I knew spending more time with him, especially with what I know would be undivided attention for me, was deeply unsettling, and even with the kids there, it would still be uncomfortable. So I chose to have a party to celebrate us, and one that there were too many people to distract us from each other, and I wouldn't have to deal with my mind playing the dirty game of blame or guilt. William agreed, and he had even given me a lot of money to shop for whatever I wanted for that day, and I did that. I did buy everything I wanted, including a new suit and some house supplies for the new rented apartment I got for Sam. I also did get things I needed for the party, but I spent less on those things than I had done for Sam. A week before the party, I stopped visiting Sam because I needed time to prepare. Everything became rushed because of the amount of time I spent out with Sam instead of preparing. I even bought my dress really late, and my jewelries were from the collection I already had before, even though I had never had to wear jewelries more than twice. But because I had no time, I wore one from my collections, and since William never really knew the differences between them all, he thought it was new, and even complimented my dress, and the jewelries not even remembering that he bought them for me. The party started out the way I had expected it to. It was right outside our front yard, and we had even more guests than I had prepared for. Everyone was there. Our friends who I had only seen once or twice after marriage, those I had only seen on my wedding day, the ones that were constantly there. Our families, too, were all there. The only people absent from that party that evening were the kids, and they were inside the house stuck with their nanny. We were all happy, reuniting and connecting again with one another. And then the party had progressed steadily to the part where we were supposed to give a speech. William went first. He spoke about how much he loved me, how grateful he was for our family, and how hard he knew it must have been raising our kids alone, most of the times, when he had to go on several work trips, and how much he adored me for that. He made promises of delegating more and spending more time with the kids and he promised me his undying love. All in all, his words made me shed tears, not because I was happy, but because I was sad. I realized only then that I had gone too far with my so-called quest for attention, and I didn't realize it was all mine even when it wasn't completely. But everyone thought I was crying tears of joy, and I could hear them whistling and clapping as William ended his speech. But as I stood up to go to the mini stage the decorator had created to say the little poem I had written the day before to say to William, I got distracted by a text from Sam. I didn't read it, but as I got to the stage and started to say the lines of my poem, everywhere fell silent. I thought they were all listening to the carefully crafted words that I managed to bring myself to write, while imagining William to be the man I had always wanted him to be. But when I ended my little poem expecting applause and the whistling, but none of it had happened. Everyone was staring at me in shock. I didn't understand what I had said wrong until I looked back at my phone, and I saw exactly what it was. I read the text Sam had sent, not the poem I wrote William, the text where he said things like how much he missed me and wishes he's the one in my life and no one else, where he compared me to the morning sun and how he's finding it difficult to cope without me, and many other things that were related to that, and I can hardly now because I deleted the text after that day, too ashamed of myself to keep it. But nothing about the text had indicated anything related to the beautiful love poem I told everyone that I had written to my husband. How could I have made such a mistake? I couldn't believe it, and I kept looking from my phone to William trying to get words out. Perhaps laugh and say it was some joke, but even as I tried laughing, it came out as a squeak. William kept looking at me with a different look in his eyes, not the way he had looked at me when he was there on that stage promising me everything, not the way he looked when he told me he loved me. It was different, and I couldn't even breathe. Then he stood up and just left without another word to me. He didn't go into the house like I expected. He had gone to the garage and driven off. I was too scared to go after him, and I didn't know how to handle the situation. Not with everyone looking at me like a beast. I just stood there and watched everyone leave. William's mother had said nothing to me either. She had just gone inside the house and emerged 40 minutes later with my kids and their backpacks. The children, clearly confused and sleepy, had gone with their grandmother without arguing. Only my first baby was awake enough to wave me goodbye, even though I couldn't bring myself to return the gesture. I just watched them go, and I couldn't stop her. I couldn't hold her back from taking my kids, so I watched her take them away. And I watched everyone leave the party without saying a word to me, until gradually I was the only one left with everything. The food, the drinks, everything left untouched. I don't remember how long I stood there before I finally moved and went in hoping desperately that William came back home and allowed me to explain. I wasn't trying to mock him reading my lover's text to his ears. It had been a pure mistake. William did come home, but in the wee hours of the morning. I know because I couldn't sleep a wink. When he entered, his eyes were red like he had been drinking, but when he spoke, I realized that he hadn't been drinking. His eyes had been like that because he was angry. Really angry. When he saw me, he asked me how long I had been cheating on him. I couldn't even deny it. There was no lying my way out of it, so I told him. William had sucked in his breath, and he looked like he wanted to hit something, or perhaps someone. Me. I've never been as scared in my life as I was that night, seeing how hard it was for William to control his anger, especially when I've never seen him that angry before in all my years of being with him. I knelt down, I cried, and I begged for forgiveness, but William just told me to get out. He wouldn't listen to me, wouldn't hear my reasons, however ridiculous they were. William just wasn't ready to listen to me. He pushed me aside and just entered our room and locked it from behind. I sat beside the door begging William to open up until it was 7 a.m, and he had come out but only with my luggage. I knew it was mine because I saw the traveling box I usually use. I begged again, but William still wouldn't hear me out. He pushed me and my luggage out of the house. It's been a week since then, and honestly, I don't know how to cope with this situation. I've received a lot of hate and stigmatization since that party. Everyone kept talking about what I had done and spreading the news. They all avoided me, but never bothered to hide their irritation when they saw me in the street. But that doesn't even bother me as much as William's reaction to the whole thing had been. It's been a week since I've seen him, been able to talk to him, or even apologize properly. I've called and texted him several times, but he wouldn't respond to any of my texts or calls. I haven't seen my kids since then, too. I don't know what to do, honestly. I feel so guilty and full of regrets, and I really want to fix what I broke. Is there a chance to do that? To maybe fix everything between William and I? Can I still return back to being by his side, not only as his wife, but as the mother to our kids? Can I ever get that opportunity ever again? Update. Hello, Reddits. This is my second and possible last post here on this app. It's been really hard getting by. It's been barely a month, and yet it seems like every day I keep finding new pieces of my life to pierce together again, but it's impossible. Every day of my life feels like a limited edition of a horror movie. It's crazy how fast it is to become ruined because of a singular decision that you had made because you felt that was the decision that was necessary to make at that time. I thought that cheating was the best way to solve the problem I thought I had. I thought that if I could cheat and be happy, then my marriage wouldn't suffer and my kids wouldn't wonder why their mom was always so pissed at their father. I thought that cheating was the permanent solution to my problem. I didn't know I was only adding more oil into the fire. I didn't know that I was only destroying the best thing that I might have ever had in my life. Now my life feels so empty without William. It's only now I realize just how lonely one can get without the most important people in your life. How could I have ever thought I could get away with it? Cheating and even daring to read out that text in front of everyone like a mockery, like I was trying to insult William by literally announcing so blatantly that I was cheating right in front of everyone. I had gotten distracted by my thoughts, my guilt coming into play, and then getting that text from Sam and reading it out loud without even thinking about what I was saying or reading. The stupidest of all things I could have ever done. Now I'm paying so dearly for it. With William, whose lawyer is now trying to build up a case, one I have made easy with my affair, to not only separate us as husband and wife, but also to show the court that William is a better parent and deserved to have the full custody of our kids. There's no amount of pleading I haven't done just to get William to forgive me, but every effort of mine feels futile. Even this. Coming here on this app to explain my side of the story, hoping that someone would maybe understand just how horrible I feel about what I had done, and perhaps give me some sort of advice or help to win back William. But I had gotten nothing but insults and backlashing cruel comments. You guys make it so easy to hate myself even more for what I've done with your wicked words. You make it so easy for me to feel disgust towards myself. So much that I cannot even bear to look at my own reflection anymore. I know I'm at fault, but it really doesn't make it any less hurtful when you guys have taken your time to carefully craft out insults just to make sure I wake up from my daydreaming. I realize now that there's no amount of begging I can do to get William back. I had insulted him and our marriage in the worst possible way. Stuck in this apartment all alone, with no pictures of William and I, and the ones including the kids hanging from every corner of the living room. Having an empty fridge not plastered with to-do lists, and the cute drawing of the kids is so painful. Not being able to walk into the second room and kiss the kids good morning, and wake them up to prepare them for school, while William, whenever he was around, did the cooking or vice versa, depending on whose turn it was on our list of shared chores. Not being able to do those things I had always considered normal and not an opportunity is so painful. I remember every morning whenever William was home, especially on a Saturday when he would leave me to rest so he could go and make breakfast while discussing little things with the kids. I remember him always helping me with my backache, one I kept getting after giving birth to our last child for some reason. He would massage me until I fell asleep. Those little moments that I should have considered, and not stupidly think, because he wasn't doing the major touchy-feely things, it meant he didn't care enough. I realized just how monstrous I am to have lost everything over something as fleeting as a relationship with Sam. When he heard that William kicked me out and was going to get a divorce, he had only sent me a text breaking up with me. No excuse whatsoever given. He probably knew that without William in the picture, there was no way I could give him the usual money he kept getting from me, the only real reason he was with me. And I feel like a dumb person for not knowing that all along. I should have known. I should have realized it right from the beginning. Not now that it's too late. I should have known that he had nothing else to offer than sex, and also to extort me. He knew what I wanted because I never hid it. I was desperate for some attention, which was never missing in the first place, and he gave me his own twisted version of it. And instead of realizing it for what it was exactly, I clung to it, and now that there's nothing but painful memories to cling to, I regret everything so much. The memory that keeps replaying in my head is that evening of our anniversary when I had read something else instead of the poem I was supposed to read. I keep remembering how shocked William had looked, and then how his face had morphed into anger before he got up to leave. That look keeps haunting me day and night. In my head when I'm awake and in the nightmares that plague my dreams when I fall asleep. It's so sad just how badly I've ended my life. Without my husband and my kids. It feels painful knowing that I will never get any other opportunities to be with them. I wish so desperately that I could go back in time. If I did, I would correct a lot of mistakes that I had made. I would cherish the memories I'm creating with the kids and the ones with William. I would stick to loving my husband and become committed fully to our marriage. I would never have gone to the mall that day so I could avoid meeting Sam, and I never would have absent-mindedly read that text instead of the real thing. Well, that wouldn't have happened at all if I didn't cheat at all in the first place. I wouldn't have been distracted enough to mistake a text that sounded so differently from the poem I had written. I wonder if William thinks of me. He probably doesn't. Or maybe he does, but all he remembers is this version of me. Not the one he'd married and stayed married to for 10 years. He probably hates me, and just that thought of William hating me makes me hate myself even more. I feel so stupid for ever allowing things to get this far. I could have stopped all of these. I could have avoided it all, but I was too selfish, thinking about myself alone, and I had ended up ruining the best thing I had. Now that I'm without him in my life, it feels so empty and cracked. William had never in all our years of marriage given me reasons to doubt his love and loyalty towards our family. He never gave me reasons to doubt his faithfulness, and yet all I thought of or could think of was cheating on him because of the version of the truth I twisted. I have no one on my side, absolutely no one. No one even calls me or asks me how I'm doing. Ever since that party, no one cares enough to check in on me. They've all avoided me. Well, ignored would be a better word for what they're doing. Even my parents wouldn't speak to me. My friends have all kept away since then, and it feels so lonely. All I have is this silence that surrounds me every day. The only noise is that of my mind repeatedly recounting the loss I have endured as the consequences of my sins. Words can really not encompass just how regretful I am right now. I've lost everything, and it's nobody's fault but mine. All mine. I've gone ahead and pushed too hard, until my marriage is now shattered so badly into millions of pieces that even if I spent years piercing together, I still wouldn't be able to get it done, not even halfway. I'm broken. I'm so broken, and it hurts. It hurts so badly being like this, feeling like this. I wish there was something I could do to make it less painful, to make my heart stop squeezing so tight that it hurts to even breathe properly every day. It hurts knowing that there's no fixing what I broke. It hurts knowing that I will never get a second chance. It hurts really badly, and I don't think that I could ever get beyond it. I will always be stuck like this, feeling this much pain and regrets, wishing for something that had always been mine before, but now can never be ever again. I've lost the best thing that I could have ever had. I've done too much to ever take it back, and I know I'll never find something as good, not now, not never. There's no replacing a relationship that lasted for over 10 years, and there's no recovering from losing your kids. None at all. There's no getting past this, and it hurts so badly thinking about how much I've ended up ruining my life. Now, I have to live the rest of my life knowing that I will never be a part of the growth of my kids. I will only get to watch them from afar, or maybe never even see them again, knowing William, and that thought keeps me in the darkest pit of hell, the one I created myself by behaving so stupidly. Well, this is it for me, guys. I hope you guys, regardless of what you think of me, learnt something from me. I hope that you guys don't end up like me with lots of regrets and so much pain. It's almost palpable. Thanks and goodbye.